You know, it's taken me 46 years to get here, and I'd like to explain why. You see, as a 10-year-old boy growing up in Australia, most of my friends on a weekend would be out playing sport, cricket or football and whatnot, but not me. I used to get on a bus and then a train, and I used to go to sing with the Australian Boys Choir. I actually spent 5 years of my adolescence, from the age of 10 until my voice broke, singing with the Australian Boys Choir. And as a special treat for Silver Bells today, I'm going to show you something that hasn't been seen in public for over 40 years. And before your mind wanders too far off the point, I'm going to show you my choir jacket from when I was 10. How's that? All right. I've kept it all these years. And the other thing I want to point out too, I'm quite proud of. This little badge here, it says leader. I was the leader of the Australian Boys Choir for 2 or 3 years before my voice broke. But you know, we've all got stories to tell about, our childhood. And as I grew through my teens, I never lost the passion for singing. In fact, I had a pretty rough childhood, and I actually had to go and sing and play in a rock and roll band to pay my way through school. And then something happened. Adulthood came along. And with adulthood comes responsibilities, yeah? We have to suddenly get a job and we have to earn money. We have a family. We have a career. And suddenly 30 years just disappears. 30 years just disappears. And your kids come up to you and say, you know what, please give us some space. We don't need you around us so much anymore. Give us some air, give us some space. And it's a shock. And you think, well, what am I going to do? And the epiphany for me happened Christmas 2004. And on Christmas 2004, you'll remember that there was horrible news on the television, the news of the Asian tsunami. And I was sitting at my place here in Singapore watching the television and realizing that Asia had given me a lot in my years, and it was time to give back. And I'm not a particularly charitable person. And then suddenly I thought, I've got to pick up the phone. I have to do something. And lo and behold, 48 hours after I picked up the phone, I was on the RSS Endeavour, your Navy vessel, sailing into Malabo in Aceh as one of the first 100 volunteers to reach the shores after the tsunami went through. Well, I can't explain the horror of the things that I saw, and that's the downside. But let me tell you, it opened up my heart in ways that I could never, ever have imagined. And the other thing was that this event coincided with my 50th birthday. So you can calculate how old I am now. But on the way back on the RSS Endeavour, I did something again, which I hadn't done ever in my life. But it was basically what had happened. It was unlocking the passion that had been locked inside me for 40 years since I was a 10-year-old boy. And I wrote some lyrics. I wrote lyrics of a song. And it was a song that was born out of the pain that I'd seen in the eyes and the minds of the people in Aceh. And when I got back to Singapore, other people heard that song, and one thing led to another, and I ended up performing it as part of the President's Challenge back in 2005 with my two little girls. I thought, well, that's it. And then another song popped into my head, and then another one, and another one, another one. And before I knew where I was, I'd written 12 songs. 12 songs is an album these days, right? So I think, well, why not? Why not? What the hell? What have I got to lose? And so I put an album together, and I thought, okay, that's that. That's that. And then I started writing some more. And then, lo and behold, I had another 11 songs written myself, and I put another wonderful Elton John song on the album, and I produced another album. And I'm saying this not to sort of big note myself. I'm just saying that inside of us, we probably all have things that we've masked or have been laid over by the responsibilities of adulthood. And it took the Asian tsunami to actually unlock that for me. And since then, it's not just music that's poured out. I've just realized a whole new life. 4 years ago, I put a pack on my back, and it sounds like an expensive thing, but it was very cheap. And I used YMCA hostels, and I've trekked all through South America, Argentina, Chile, and Peru. When my daughter finished her GCSE exams, as a reward to her, I took her to the Everest Base Camp in Nepal. My younger daughter just finished her GCSEs 2 months ago, and this time, 2 months ago, she and I proudly stood standing on the summit of Mount Kilimanjaro in Africa. Look, I can't begin to tell you the number of things that I've done, and I honestly start to wonder, is it possible that we are now, at the age of 50 plus, in the best years of our lives? Because we've got the accumulated money, most of us have got accumulated wealth. We've got the wisdom that comes with the years, and we've got the time to enjoy it. And, you know, I really wanted to express this to people. And one of the songs that came into my head came out of a frustration of this. And it's a song that says, look, particularly when I'm looked at by younger people and I get a sense of the disdain or, you know, who are you anyway? And I think, well, God, if only I could sit you down for 5 minutes and tell you what I've done and about my life and about my wisdom and about my experiences, my God, I think, you know, you would think of me very differently. So when you look at me, don't judge me that way. And out of that frustration, I wrote a song, and the words start like this. When you look at me, there's much more that you don't see. I don't fit the mold of Hollywood or the idols on TV. When you look at me, am I pleasing to the eye? Too big, too small, too short, too tall, too old, or just too shy? The sun is rising in me, and yet everyone seems young. But life's a great adventure, and the best is yet to come. Nice? So with your permission, I'd like to sing you that song. Is that okay? Let's go. When you look at me, there's much more that you don't see. I don't fit the mold of Hollywood or the idols on TV. When you look at me, am I pleasing to the eye? Too big, too small, too short, too tall, too loud, or just too shy? The sun is rising in me, and yet everyone seems young. Life's a great adventure, and the best is yet to come. There's much more to me than you'll ever see when you look at me. When you look at me, can you see what I've achieved? To judge me by my looks alone, you're sure to be deceived. When you look at me, you can't imagine all I've seen. From villages to boardrooms, a million places in between. Sometimes it isn't easy, and it isn't always fun, but life's a great adventure, and the best is yet to come. There's much more to me than you ever see when you look at me. Take a look Can you see the boy within? Don't age me by my silver hair and the wrinkles in my skin. When you look at me, does all my knowledge show? The school of life has taught me more than most will ever know. To you I may look older, but inside I still feel young. But life's a great adventure, and the best is yet to come. There's much more to me than you'll ever see when you look at me. Oh, there's so much more that you don't see. Just like waves upon the ocean and the roots beneath the tree. To you I may look over, but inside I still feel young. But life's a great adventure, and the best is yet to come. There's much more to me than you'll ever see when you look at me. When you look at me. Thank you.
Oh, that's really beautiful. Really, really beautiful. You hit all the right notes.